What is up, guys? Welcome to my channel. I'm Will the Romans, and today we're going to be talking about the ETHOS Folding Wall Rack. So stay tuned. Alright, now that the more than necessary introduction is done, because you can't have a channel without an introduction, obviously, a little bit about my channel. In this channel, the goal is we're going to be reviewing tech, games, we're going to do some streaming, as well as some at-home fitness, which is why this is the topic for today, and it's my first review, so lucky for you. Yeah, I wish you luck in listening to me. So today, like it says in the description, we're going to be talking about the ETHOS Folding Wall Rack, which I purchased through and can only be purchased through Dick's Sporting Goods. Now, I'm not sponsored by them by any means. This was purchased by myself mid-pandemic, so I was lucky to get a hold of something. Gyms were closing, weights were flying off the shelves, we were seeing things just disappear, so I did act quick. I only had a few things to compare it against, one of which I really was hoping to get at the time, was Rogue's 3WC. It's the comparable model. I will link it below as well, show you kind of a comparison photo up here. What they are is they are mountable in your garage. The big difference, two big differences, the price point and the expandability. And I'll show you kind of what I'm talking about in the garage. We'll go out there in a second, but just so you know up front, I'll link the ETHOS one below. I'm not an affiliate. This is not an affiliate link whatsoever. I'm just showing you directly what I'm using in case you're interested. The current price point right now, the current cost of this model, which I purchased for as well back in March, was $399, and that is before tax and everything. The comparable model that I believe Rogue has, and I believe it was $590 or $575. I'll link it again below. Don't take my 100% word for it, but there was a huge difference there. The reason why I didn't go for Rogue at the time, not only was it a price problem for me at the moment, a little tight on funds, but also because they had a 4 to 6 week out shipment estimate. So I said to myself, ooh, gotta weigh out the pros and cons. So let's go out in the garage and let's take a look at what we've got, what we're dealing with today. So here we go. Okay, here we are out in the garage. This is how it is set up in my garage. I've got it near my front door. Placement, I think, is not as important. It comes down to the user as well as where the wall or where the studs are placed within your wall. Just note that obviously this is going to be mounted in the wall, right? Wall mounting rack, right? Wall mounted.
Thanks, Captain Obvious. I was on a totally different track.
Yeah, here it is. First impressions when I unboxed this. I love the red powder coat and the black. It just looks so clean. Please note, ETHOS does not offer, at least for the folding wall rack, they do not offer multiple color choices. This is the only choice you get, which is red and black. Now, for me, red is my favorite color. Red and black combination is also my favorite, so this was a win-win for me. But for someone that may not be a huge fan of the bright red, this is kind of all you get, so keep that in mind. So for that $399 price point, just note that. Now, I will tell you, this is one of the cheaper options out there. I was looking and comparing this to Rogue Fitness, 3WC, their 3CW model at Rogue. It was roughly $600. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. I'll tell you, there's a reason why this is cheaper, and it's the first thing that was obvious to me was the way that these J hooks are positioned. They're not going into the 1-inch holes that you'll see in most standard racks. Forgive me for the lack of terminology yet again. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. It drops on these pegs and that's it, which means that the odds of you finding something to add for add-ons or additions to this is going to be pretty slim. Really, guys, just keep that in mind. you are limited to what you can add on for now. I would imagine Ethos will realize this moving forward. I hope that they would. And I'll just do a quick comparison to my buddy has the Ethos FTR, the training rack that's not mounted. And two things were huge. He has the plate horns, which this does not. This doesn't have the ability to hold any weights. And it has the ability to do triceps with the tricep dip bar. How do we add that on here? Not sure. So just more thought for now. I've worked around it. I know you can buy additions, but to have an all-in-one system, to have the ability to have those add-ons is huge. I don't mind the plate horns things. I expected that, especially with Rogue and PRX Performance. The plates aren't hung on this either, but they do have options. They have horn additions that you can throw on that'll be stationed. But most people that they have the wall rack, they're putting it on the wall, which I do not currently. I've got mine just leaning up. Ethos also has a weight tree, but I don't have that, so I can't say it's a good thing or not. So spec-wise, on paper, what are you getting? How far does this sit out, spec-wise? When this thing is fully set up, this is about 2 feet, a little over 2 feet, or excuse me, probably 2.5 feet to the bar itself, to the end of the J-hook, about 2.5 feet. Now, closed, this is where it'll shock you. Maybe it won't. Little under 6 inches, and I'm not little, 5.5 inches to be exact. When it's closed up, 5.5 inches is all that it sticks out to. So like I said, you got this red and black powder coat frames, steel frames. These are 3x3 11 gauge steel. Your 4 arms that are connected to these beams. Those are also steel, but I believe they're a little bit thicker. In fact, I'm almost confident they are just about 3 inch by 3 inch. Each of these beams are supported not only by 2 arms per beam, but you also have the 2 stabilizers that are adjustable at the bottom. So when you can pull the lever and it allows that free movement, which I'll show right here. Free movement when you're trying to close it up. So you got 49.5 inch rack width. So that's the width, the overall width between the racks. The stringer itself is an additional 6 inches. So the stringers, and I had to look this up myself because I didn't understand what they meant by stringers. The base that is going to be mounted to the wall itself. You got 2 of those, one up top, one up bottom. But yeah, you got reinforced by these 2 stringers. Those are 57 inch wide. So just for specs case, if you're looking to get something like this, make sure you measure ahead of time to know what you have to do, kind of what space you have to work with. So obviously keep in mind you're going to be doing lifting, so add a little bit of circumference or radius around that to know what, to give yourself some room. But just for mounting sake, 57 inches is going to be your max width. When you have your Olympic bar up there, it's obviously going to be wider than that, but just something to keep in mind. 92 inches tall, so a little over 7.5 feet tall. I have a I would say between 9 and 10 foot garage ceiling height limit. So even if it's 9 feet, you still got 1.5 feet to work with. You also are given these 2 J-hooks that come with it. These J-hooks are what obviously support your Olympic bar, and this is where obviously you're going to set it on, no brainer. It tells you on paper, it says there's 18 adjustable J-hook positions. Now, I did not understand what that meant because when I unboxed it, I was like, wow, I only count 9 positions. See, if you go down here, you see these knobs that pop out, which is where the J-hooks hang on. These aren't the 1-inch standard drills that you can put a bolt through or anything. These positions, again, there's only 9, but what they're meaning by when they say there's 18 is, yes, keep in account there's 9 actual positions on the frame itself, but the J-hook has 2 hook options that are roughly, I think it says 1 inch or 1.5 inches apart. So you have that flexibility. Pros and cons to this, obviously. So if you're a tall guy like me, I'm 6'2", you can put this at the top. For me, that top position works just fine, but but if you're a little bit taller and for some reason it's a little bit too low for you, then you can use the bottom position, which pushes it up, makes it sit a bit higher. The only downside to that is I don't feel like it's very sturdy. See, if you compare the top position, it doesn't move as much but if you put it at the bottom hook position, you see me wiggle it up and down, it moves a lot more. So just something to keep in mind of. Obviously, if I put a lot of weight on it on the bottom end, it feels like it would hold too, but I don't know how confident I would be with using that position regularly, especially for chest. You can have it at the top, which is obviously for your shoulder press, your squats, your whatever that you're doing while you're standing up. Then you can drop it down, probably midpoint, at least for myself. Again, everyone is built differently, so your heights will be a little bit different for sure, but roughly about half, little probably 4 or 5 pegs down. You'll use this section for your chest as well as the bottom, your bent over rows or your deadlifting. And I know that deadlifting is done typically on the ground, but for those that like to have it just raised deadlifts, I want to note one thing, a very important note. The bottom peg seems pointless, and here's why. It feels pointless, at least if you're planning on adding on weight, because with the J hook at the bottom now, we pose one problem. And that is, one thing I notice is that my rubberized plates, even if you do a standard 45 plate, whether it's rubbered or not, it's gonna hit this stabilizer lever, and which defeats the purpose of having that at the bottom. And the stinky part is that this lever is not movable, meaning upon installation, you would think, well, I'll just think about where I put that. Well, there's only one part, it has to go on the outside, and that's by design, right, to create that stabilization. It also comes with a pull-up bar. So you see up top, the pull-up bar is bolted into the top. It can be adjustable. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 holes positions. If you're taller like me, you might stick to the higher end, but if you're a little bit shorter, go to the lower end. Or if you like the challenge, and you're short and you want to jump high, there you go, or vice versa, whatever it is. But you have that position. So that's what you get in the box. A few people in other models were complaining about these pads that are on the J hooks itself, saying that over time they just get beat up. And again, I think that they adjusted that. The first model, the FTR, has, I would call them felt type material. This is a little more rubber. It's held up really well. The sides of it's showing a little bit of use, but again, this is 8 to 9 months, I would imagine, and they've also got screws in those, so I would imagine they have the option to swapping those out if needed. I haven't seen it on Dick's Sporting Goods sites, so I wonder if you have to reach out to them directly, or if they're saying, if you need to take them off, and it's just the steel itself. Let me show you how this collapses. It's not as complicated as it might seem, or if you don't think it's as complicated, you're probably right. And I'll say probably. I recorded myself, or I timed myself. It took me 2 minutes from it being folded to unfolded. So it starts with taking there's 4 pins in the corner. There's 4 pins at the beginning of each arm, or at the end of each arm near the stringer. You've got to take the pin out, pin comes out, other pin comes out, there's 4 of them. Okay, we're taking all 4 out, setting those aside. Up top, we have the pull-up bar. Now the pull-up bar, it comprises of a few things. You got 2 pins that come out, or 2 metal pins that are in there. Pull those out. One of them is screwed in. It's got a groove on the end. And on the back of one of the pins, you actually have another pin that keeps it in. So it's a pin on a pin. So those come off. That can be set down for now. There is a storage option for this after it's hung, or after I'm closed up. So hold up, just put it on the side for a minute. And then finally, we're gonna reach down, grab the stabilizer lever on each side, pick it up, and move it in. Nice and easy. So once this is in and closed up, first, as you can see, it looks absolutely beautiful. Let's head back inside and let's talk a bit more. Okay, we're back inside. Hopefully that gave you a good overall view and review of what you're seeing, how it's set up and everything. There weren't a lot of videos on YouTube that I could find on the ETHOS wall mount, but there were plenty on the Rogue Fitness and the PRX Performance and a few other brands. So being that I was limited to this option, it may come off as I was settling at the time. Looking back, would I have changed it if things were differently? Yes, but here's why. The biggest concern that I have for what my training is all about, I want the ability to have add-ons, to have the plate horns, to have the ability of adding those on. It would be really nice. And again, that's not something that you see typically on wall mounts. So call it my expectation versus the reality. This is my first purchase of a home gym aside from dumbbells and stuff. So for what it was, I am glad that I got what I did. Now in my next video, I will be doing a review on another product of ETHOS, which is their bumper plate set. I picked that up, as well as they had a 205-pound set at Dick's Sporting Goods. I believe I paid roughly $2.10 a pound. What it comes out to over everything. Again, 205 pounds, that's the 45 pound. I'll talk it in my next video if you want to know more, but please check it out if you liked my review, if you liked what you saw. Feel free to subscribe, feel free to, I appreciate a like or a dislike, and provide some feedback, because this is my first review. My plan with this channel is to potentially gear towards the fitness, but right now, with a lot of people being home, working from home, I think it's important to find that balance. So I'll be doing other product reviews as well as game reviews if you guys are interested. So stay tuned for more videos, and thanks for checking me out.